we were taught based on the limits of knowledge from times ago.
Mm-hmm.
As we move through the galaxy, as we move through the omniverse,
Mm-hmm.
we're picking up more information from the space that we move through.
Mm-hmm.
So our knowledge is expanding. We are basically living in a projection.
Mm-hmm.
It is a holographic universe.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you feel like you can feel your hands and you can touch the table, everything is 99.9% space.
Mm. Jesus.
It is your programming that gives you the knowledge that you think you have about the world. It's the repetition over and over, you hearing things, seeing things, feeling things, and making agreements. So we have these contracts that are based on what was given to us. So some of what we're receiving now, we couldn't have it before. Because we're still in kindergarten when it comes to the knowledge of the real world. And I'm not talking about the earth. See, your world is not the earth. When we say the world is going to, we're at the beginning of a new world or this is the end of a world, that's your world. Each person has their own world based on the language, based on the culture, based on how they eat, how they live, where they sit, where they are on the planet. I mean, think about this for a second. Why do people have a certain accent that live in a certain area? So you could tell Brother Rich has a New York accent, a New York rhythm. Where does that come from? Why? Because he's from where he's from, does he talk like that? People in the South have what you call a Southern accent. Where does it come from? And I'm going to give you a little piece of history as we get into this. The South of America, of North America, the southern states had lots of mosquitoes at one time. And most of the people got sick from the mosquitoes. So the people who were sick from the mosquitoes, their brain was affected, the ones who didn't die. So the frontal lobe and the communication parts of their brain was slightly delayed. So the people begin to talk slower. And the children are born, they talk the same way because they're modeling. So all this information that we receive that gives us our culture and our way is all modeling. Some of the things about the universe, the innerverse, we're just now finding out. Your agreements have to change. Your contracts with things have to change. Once you are able to be open and not so closed, then you begin to tap into this place where everything is totally different than what you have been told. You have been modeling. You've been modeling people with the way they talk, the way they act. So what you're seeing is what you're agreeing that you see. See, these are references. Most of the things that you know about are references. There's a big difference between a reference and a referent. A referent is an actual experience. When you've had an actual experience, you were there, you could touch, feel, and see it. That is something that you can say, yeah, I was there. But most of what you know, you weren't there. You just heard about. You heard that the sun was this hot burning thing with fire. Well, fire needs oxygen. There's no oxygen in space, so the sun couldn't be burning. Even though it's hot, it's not the type of heat that you know about, that you realize it's not like a fire, the campfire or your stove. These are agreements. The world that you see, right, is on the macro level is totally different on the micro level. It's a totally different set of rules in the quantum world. When you look at things, you see them because an energy field comes out of your eye. It travels to the things that you are viewing, picks up the electrical signals, the biophotons of those things. Not always bio, sometimes they're just photons, but there's biophotons also, which come off of living things. And that goes back into your eye, which are receptors, which pick up this information. It goes into the brain, goes into a transformer. The transformer turns it into electrical signals, and those signals are broadcast inside the cave, the dark cave. Things you hear, information hits your ears. It goes inside the coils, inside your ears, and there's little hairs in there that picks up the vibration, these subtle vibrations and the tones and the frequency. Then it goes into your brain and it goes through the transformer and it turns them into electrical signals. When you taste something, it turns it into electrical signals. Your tongue sends the information through the nerves to your brain. When you feel things, they're all being converted, but they're being converted a lot of times based on what you know or what you already believe based on your programming. If they didn't tell you that you could break a cinder block with your hand and you don't believe it, you can't do it. Even though we have actually done this. I remember when I was in school, in this one class, learning how to do this, the psychological kinesiology, they gave us a big piece of wood. And they said, everybody in class, you don't graduate till you break the wood. People were hitting this wood all day, their hands bleeding and hurt and black and blue. Until one lady got up. She was a really older lady who was in the wheelchair, and she got up and broke the wood because she said, this is the only thing I have is I'm going to use everything I have to what? Separate the molecules in this wood. And she did it. Once that lady broke the wood, all the 3,000 people in this class began to break the wood because you saw that it was possible. So some of the things you don't know are possible are not possible because you don't know they're possible. So when I tell you that when you're looking down in the microscope, you're looking up in space, you may say, oh, come on, B, what are you talking about? Because everything above is below. The microcosm and the microcosm are mirror images of each other being projected through time, the time-space continuum. But there's all these agreements that you have you seeing, thinking, and feeling the way you do. It's an agreement. These are millions and millions of agreements that you're making every day. So what you're seeing is a bundle of energy, right, that has come together and you call it this thing. That's not really what it is. Like this thing about an atom. They talk about an atom. Do you know they've never really seen an atom? They don't know how big or how small it really is. They keep talking about everything is made of atoms. They don't even agree of what that an atom looks the way it looks. What you're experiencing sometimes, you think you've agreed that this is what you're experiencing, but somebody right next to you who's sitting next to you is having a totally different experience. It's because it has to do with how your energy is hitting the quantum field. The quantum field is full of possibilities. It's just chaotic. It's chaos. All possibilities. Depends on how you put it all together. So your reality may not actually be factual, even though it's real to you. That reality, right, may not be an actual fact. That's just what you believe. You see, I never believed that I'd be able to be a public speaker. I'd never thought I could. So when I got in front of people, I couldn't speak. You know what I'm saying? If I did, I'd stammer and stutter. I couldn't do it. I'm nervous. Well, how am I speaking right now? How is this happening? Because something happened where the spell was broken. Something happened. where all of a sudden I saw a new reality, and I realized that it was not about me, it was we. When I took away me and got into we, it opened up the galaxy so that all of the beings, all of the ancestors, all of the different realms of being that I was allowing would come through me. As I'm speaking right now, it's not me, it's a we. We are a universe. Your body is the galaxy. You're talking about traveling to space. You travel inner space inside of you, inside of every cell, are galaxies upon galaxies upon galaxies. It's a multiverse. It's a hyperdimensional. It's actually, it's a quantum hyperdimensional universe, omniverse. It's a musical theater, and it's all sound because all light is sound. All frequencies are based on sound. How frequently is it happening? It's all frequencies. Now, okay, we're standing here, we're talking right now on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? We're doing this thing, and we are having this experience, but this experience is not. It's not as solid as you think. It's just an agreement, and we can break agreements, make agreements anytime we like. If we get in the right space, if we get to a certain place where there is a quantum shift, where two universes or two omniverses or two spaces, two dimensions come together for a minute, and you have a new experience. How many of you have had a new experience since the God Power event? I mean, it's amazing the amount of phone calls and messages and emails that we're getting about what happened when the people started, doing the exercises that I was giving in the God Power event. I didn't even tell you technically what these exercises did because I don't want to make it too conscious, because we become too conscious. And the more conscious you become, actually, the more ignorant you become to some of your intuition, unless you learn how to balance it. Because knowledge is based on the knowledge of old people, knowledge of before, other times. The knowledge that you have may not be all factual. It's just that's what you believe, and that's what it's turned into concrete. That's your foundation, your belief system, your religion, your club, your color, your culture, your stuff. I'm a musician. I can say, well, people say, well, you want to make some music? I don't make music. I play music. I don't make it. It comes through me. I allow it to come through me. It's like the book Conversations with God, where the guy just puts his pen on the paper and it starts writing. When you are able to allow the universe to work through you, now you're breaking free of these agreements that you have, that everything you're seeing and feeling and whatever is exactly the way it is. It's not. It's a projection. It's like we're in a huge video game. You see, and we're all a part of this collective consciousness, right? That's working, and it's everything is happening at one time. All times are happening at the same time. All vibrations, all sounds, all knowledge. It's all happening at the same time, but it's based on your channel. What channel are you on? What is your frequency? Some people are just going to be angry and upset no matter what. I got some people that are upset with me. They said, "Well, Dr. B, you make too much fun of this thing. You're always talking, making faces and stuff. Well, you should stop that. Why? This is serious. And my name is Dr. B Serious. I am being, right, who